In our Buddha's teachings, the Buddha stressed that all his followers should keep the precepts. And the lay people, initially the Buddha taught that lay people should keep 7 precepts. Later it was modified to 5. And these 7 precepts are 3 precepts concerning the body and 4 concerning speech. And the aim of these precepts is to not to harm other living beings. So, like the 7 precepts, the first precept is not to kill, not to intentionally kill any living being, because life is the most precious thing to any living being. You can understand if somebody wanted to buy your life, say for 100 million US dollars, would you be willing to sell your life for even $1 billion US dollars? You won't, right? So if you take somebody's life, that person will not forgive you, especially human beings. Human beings know how to think. So if you are murdered, probably you think, if I become a ghost, come and haunt him. So as far as other beings concerned, they might not have this thought to take revenge, but still they have a lot of hatred for you. So in the next future lifetimes when we meet, and you meet this being will create problems for you. That's why some people they find a lot of obstacles in their life because they don't have enough loving kindness and compassion towards other beings. So the second precept is not to take what is not given, what does not belong to us. We don't want to take. And we find this not only practiced in Buddhism, even in Islam and Christianity. I was told that there are certain areas in China where the Islam is very strong. If you drop something on the ground, even money, it will not be stolen. It will be either taken up and pinned on the wall or on the tree or something. And the people there, they are quite secure and safe. They sleep with their doors unlocked, with their windows unlocked. So when people have precepts, then everybody is safe and secure. So this is the second precept. Now if we take what is not given to us, and then the natural result of it is that in future people will also take your things and will steal your things. That's why some people, when they employ workers and maids, their things tend to get stolen. And now the third precept is not to commit adultery, sexual misconduct. If you do that, then you're likely to be reborn as an animal. Even as an animal, you probably get castrated. It was mentioned by an Arahant Bhikkhuni when she contemplated her past life and the Therikata verses of the Arahants. So that is 3 bodily precepts, and then verbal precepts, not to lie, not to carry tales to cause disharmony. For example, you hear A talking of B, you don't go and tell B, last night A said such and such a thing, and then it causes A and B to quarrel. So we promote harmony, not disharmony. The third verbal precept is not to use coarse speech, rough speech, vulgar speech and all that. Because if you use that, people get angry with you. And then even if you try to teach, people will not accept. And the fourth precept is, fourth verbal precept is not to engage in idle gossip. So these 7 precepts were taught by the Buddha so that we do not harm other living beings. So that is the first thing about Buddhist compassion. And we find in the monk's precepts that the monk has so much more precepts to keep, 227 precepts. And some of them we may think are very minor. For example, not to dig the ground that has life. Because if we dig the ground, sometimes we cut the worm, or all types of worms and insects, and white ants, etc. in the ground. So we cause suffering to them. And also, but if there's no life in the ground, a monk can dig, for example, sand, stone, clay, soil, without any life. And also like cutting plants and trees, not because they have life. Actually, originally the Buddha did not make this precept, and then some of the other people who belong to other religions, they got angry with Buddhist monks for doing that because they thought that plants have life. So the Buddha made this precept to destroy plant life. But then the Buddha also said that plant life is the abode for fairies, tree spirits. There are spirits that live in the trees, and they live in different parts of the trees. The Buddha said there are some that like to live in the leaves, there are some that like to live in the flowers, there are some that like to live in the branches, there are some that like to live on the bark of the tree, there are some that like to live in the heart of the tree, heartwood, and some like to live in the roots of the trees, and they kind of belong to different groups. So when the tree is small, it's most likely that the fairies are small. So when you destroy small trees, there's no consequence. But now and then, sometimes people cut down big trees and they suffer. As a monk, people come and tell me their problems. And sometimes I hear they say, I've got this old mango tree at the back of my house. So they all not bearing fruit, so we ordered it be cut. As a result of that, sometimes they experience accidents. Sometimes they get sick. And the worst case, I was told, was this lady who cut down that old mango tree and became mentally deranged. So you can see that there are a lot of spirits around us that we don't see with the human eye. But because the Buddha could see, then the Buddha said we should be careful. It's not that you cannot cut down the tree, but if you need to cut down the old mango tree, then you should pay respect to it and tell the spirit that stays in the tree that you intend to cut it down, say in 3 days or 7 days time, and give it time to go and look for another tree to go and stay. For it to move house, you want to move house, so you have to look for a house, suitable house to stay. So if we give them that type of respect, then they are happy at least. Give them a bit of face, so they are also like us. So then they don't harm you. So monks' precepts, we have much more precepts in order not to harm living beings. That's why monks are supposed to be very harmless. And actually, the code of conduct for monks is very high. Of course, for some monks, they don't study the suttas and don't study the Vinaya, and they don't understand. For example, the monk's not supposed to get angry, or so if somebody gets angry with you, and it's pretty hard to practice. But over the years, if a monk trains in the suttas and the Vinaya, then year by year he improves. That's why the Buddha calls the spiritual path a gradual training. When a monk disrobes, the Buddha says he forsakes the training. So that is concerning